if you're counting, 28 years since we first started. When Peter Noldus, myself, Jeremy Corbett, Quentin Bright, and a guy who was like the fifth Beatle, Darryl Reed, each put in $100 to start our radio station in New Plymouth. And I had to lend Darryl his 100. And when we were borrowing money, which happened regularly, we had to, I remember in those early days, put down our asset list. And I think Pete had the largest amount of assets, in that he had a couple of mortgages, I think, or at least one mortgage. And my asset was my suit jacket. And I literally, on the thing the bank provided, I wrote down one suit jacket, $495. And the bank manager looked at me and said, "You're serious?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely." So those were the days. I'd like to acknowledge a bunch of people. I'm going to stuff this up because I didn't actually make any notes for tonight, almost deliberately. But I'll start by thanking the people that supported us, because a number of them are here tonight, starting with Orm Greensell. And Orm got involved in Energy FM as it was then because he was the accountant of one of the guys' fathers. And that's how we selected our accountant. And Orm did a lot of share milking accounts, I think, back then. And he thought that he might do this radio thing because it sounded interesting, which it certainly was, so thank you, Orm. And Orm got people like John Armstrong and Norton Moller, David Hazard, and Sean Grace, and all the others that are here whose names I haven't mentioned yet. And I'm going to stop there because I'm going to miss somebody, to actually put some money with these guys and actually get them to start a radio station. And to all of you, thank you very, very much for your support. And I digress briefly and say, in my current role, I spend a lot of time talking to New Zealand businesses about how they get themselves together and get some capital. And I think back to those times and how actually you guys stepped up and believed in us and how important that was, otherwise we wouldn't have got together. So well done for that. And then I want to flash forward to 1987, which is 25 years ago, November 1987. Hello, Rangoon. And on the 30th of November 1987 was the opening day of the radio station, full time. I hired a young 20-year-old out of university, and she was good apparently, and she came to do news on the radio station. You can still hear the tape, and it is possibly one of the highest voices you've ever heard in radio. And Jana started us out, and we started out that first day, and I can remember the function. That night was the Egmont Steam Flower, and we had our function on the first night, and we had a woman who I don't think's here this evening, Lisa Bowman, who was from the local Taranaki Herald, prancing around delivering hors d'oeuvres to everybody, and she'd run out to our program consultant, Glenn Smith from 1XX, ate some hydrangea flowers. Such was the night that we had, and ended up quite violently ill. And also, the other thing I remember about that night was that our night announcer, Tony Gadd, I don't think Tony's here either, but he locked himself out of the studio that very first night. And we were all down at the Egmont Steam Flower and we were listening to this wonderful radio station that we built, and suddenly it was a bit quiet. And I said to Pete, "There's something wrong," and he said, "No, I'm sure it's the stereo at this end." And he wandered over to the stereo, and the pilot light was on, which is a sure sign that the transmitter was working, but there was certainly nothing coming out. And so we hightailed it up Devon Street and said, to try and find out what the hell was going on, and we found poor old Tony just outside the front door, banging on the door because he'd gone outside to go to the toilet, and the door had shut behind him and he couldn't get back in again, and that was the first night of Energy FM. So, and since then a huge number of people have worked for this organisation, and so many of you are here tonight, and it's wonderful to see you all again. It really is fantastic, and there's some great stories, some of which will be told this evening, and some best left to be here, I think. Actually, there's some people here that were in the short-term broadcast. Hello, Chris, and hello, Bill O'Byrne. Bill, by the way, used to sleep in the old radio station on Balladam Street at 2 a.m. in the morning and get up about 6 a.m. And I think you got arrested once, Bill, by the police because you were climbing in a window at about 4 a.m. in the morning, from memory. So all of those stories, and they go on, and and as I say, they will go on through the evening. But it's wonderful to see you all here. It's certainly the most amazing thing in my life. I'm absolutely confident of that. We started this little thing, we built it up, we ended up with 650 staff in 22 markets around New Zealand, and I think we remade a fair bit of New Zealand radio, which was pretty neat for a bunch of people starting out of university. Our average age when the radio station went on air on 30th of November 1987 was 21. And we weren't all 21 though. We had Peter Noldus with us as well. And truly, this is the really funny part. We used to call Peter Grandad because he was 30. So he was obscenely old. And now, as you can see, he looks the youngest of anybody in the room. So look, I'm going to stop there. Thank you very much to everybody for turning up. It's fantastic to see you all. I'm sure we'll have a wonderful evening, but I think it's only right that the gentleman from Thailand, Mr. Noldus, be required to come up and say a few words, given he's come so far, and he is, after all, the other original shareholder in the room, original promoter of Energy Affairs. So Pete, you better come up.